Hey, cohort mentors, it's Danielle. I'm here to talk about what happens in month three. So, the theme for month three is healthily balancing your work life schedule. So, as a reminder, month one is introduction and informal goal setting, month two is how to effectively um, uh, how to effectively manage your time. And month three, we get into the all important balancing of the work life schedule. So, the warm up is a continuation of the It's a Mystery. This is the part two. So, this is the part where the mentee who volunteered to answer the question for their fellow mentee who so, as a reminder, in part one, a mentee comes in and says, I'm really interested to know about X. And then another mentee volunteers to answer that question. And then in this part two, the mentee comes in prepared to answer the question that they volunteered to answer. So that's the warm up for this particular meeting in month three, meeting one. In the discussion, mentees, as a reminder from the second meeting of month two, mentees in their worksheet are asked to reflect on how they implemented their goals they set for themselves for time management. And they're also asked in this kind of transition from talking about time management to work-life balance, is they're also asked to think about how their work-life schedules work to interfere and or help with effective time management. So your job in this case, in this particular meeting, is to kind of facilitate a discussion, obviously, with how their implementation of their goals went, and also facilitate that kind of transitional discussion of how the work-life balance can hinder and or help effective time management practices. So it's kind of transitioning, but out of time management, but not necessarily out of time management, but talking about time management and then adding the conversation of balancing work life into time management, because those two topics are really kind of innately tied together. So that's the first meeting of month three. So to go into the second meeting of the third month, just open up the COM or the meeting agenda. They're asked to do for their warm up a very traditional show and tell, so I don't think I have to go over what that is. As usual, I do ask them to be appropriate and respectful of others and to pick an object that would not make people feel uncomfortable, but to share something from their home life and explain its significance to to the cohort. For the discussion, I do give them a quotation from uh, someone who works for Deloitte, which is a top Forbes company, and the quotation is about how if work is designed for well-being, then there will be an end to the work-life balance. And so mentees are then asked to write if they agreed or disagreed with this. And then they were also asked to reflect on their own challenges and or successes of balancing their work-life schedules, as well as considering what a healthy work-life balance means to them, because we can have a work-life balance, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's quote unquote healthy. So the word healthy has it's a very charged word and it means very different things to everybody. So it's important to talk about work-life balance, but it's also another thing to talk about Well, what does a healthy work life balance look like for you versus you, right? So it's going to look different and it's going to mean different things for different people. And so obviously, your goal as the mentor, again, is to facilitate a discussion about what they wrote and they reflected on about that quotation, about if work is designed for well being, that's the end of the work life balance, right? Do they agree or disagree with that? And then this concept of a healthy work life balance, what does that mean to them? And is it something they think they can achieve? Do they think they have achieved it? There's a lot of different ways you can go about facilitating this conversation. So there's a lot of room for you to kind of come in with your own techniques and strategies. As usual, wrap up and post meeting work are the same. And that's everything for month 3, focusing on not just transitioning from time management, but talking about time management and adding the conversation of work life and the balancing of work life schedules in conversation with time management onto that. So that's all I have on month 3, and I will be back with the final video on what happens in month 4.